in today's Faces of Faith, we're talking about a new kind of church, a church without God. It's called Community Mission Chapel. It looks and sounds like a place of worship. Oh, there's a weekly service, there's offerings, uplifting songs.
Yeah, but here's the catch. It's missing one major detail. Its members don't believe in a higher power. This self-proclaimed atheist church is just one example of the growing presence of religiously unaffiliated congregations popping up all over the world. And it's making some waves in the heart of the Bible Belt, Lake Charles, Louisiana.
So here with us to talk about it is the founder, Jerry DeWitt. He's a former evangelical preacher turned atheist and author of a new book, Hope After Faith, an ex-pastor's journey from belief to atheism. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it, Jerry.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Why don't you quickly give us your story? Because this happened, your conversion really happened just a few years ago.
I was born and raised by Pentecostal grandparents. And at age 17, I was saved at Jimmy Swaggart's church in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And then I spent the next 25 years as a Christian minister. In the beginning, very hard and fast Pentecostalism. And then towards the end, more of a liberal charismatic movement.
Well, you know, I've been reading about your book, and I want to read something in the description of it. In 2011, a member of your flock came to you seeking prayer for a brother that had been seriously injured in an accident. Right. You searched for the right words, but those words failed you. You couldn't find them, and your faith crumbled. Does that mean that there is no God, or you're just not faithful?
That's a good question. What it means is that I loved this young lady so much that had I prayed for her in that particular moment, I felt as if I would start her on a path of doubting that I had been on for several years and had found very troubling and very uncomfortable. And at that moment, I didn't want to share that with her. So I'm not here to proclaim that I know something that everyone else doesn't know, or that I don't know something that everyone else does. This is about love, and this is about loving truth and about loving human beings and about how much I loved God for 25 years, but yet in my search was not able to find any true evidence or proof of His existence or intervention.
You know, Jerry, some people would look at this and say an atheist church is an oxymoron, and you say, no, wait,
sure.
It's not. And I've watched some of your preaching. And you're really preaching, and you say sometimes that turns people off because I'm still preaching, but I'm preaching a different message. Talk to me about that and having an atheist church, if you will.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is the reality of it. Is there's a lot of different subcultures within our country, and one of the subcultures in the Deep South is the church family. So even though a person may come to the realization that they're an atheist and they move away from any beliefs in superstition, that doesn't mean that they're not nostalgic for the church family or for the church environment. So we're able to duplicate that minus all the superstition.
Hey, Jerry, I need some clarity here because what I'm hearing you use, these words doubt and unsure and uncertain. And I looked up the definitions. Atheism is one who believes there is no deity, there is no God. Agnosticism is a person who holds the view that any ultimate reality as God is unknown and probably unknowable. What I'm hearing you describe is a life of one who is agnostic, not so much an atheist. Clear that up for me.
Right. Sure. Well, what I like to say is I like to say that skepticism is my nature, free thought is my methodology, agnosticism is my conclusion after 25 years of being in the ministry, and atheism is my opinion. And opinions are always subject to change. I would be very egotistical if I were to say somehow I know what no one else has been able to prove or disprove. So yes, those words do blend in the life of non-believers, but atheism is my opinion.
So you believe there is no God?
I have not found any reason to believe there is a God, right.
I want to take a look at some poll numbers. Okay, so these poll numbers came out from Public Religion Research Institute. And what they showed us is that nearly 40% of Americans that were polled believe that atheism is changing American culture for the worse. 10% thought for the better. 46%, so the majority there, thought really no impact. What do you make of those numbers?
Well, I would be surprised if believers thought non-belief was something positive. They wouldn't be very true to their theology or doctrine if they did. But this is something that is growing within our culture. I think thanks to the internet and the prevalence of information and the advances that are being made in science, as they call it, the God gap continuously gets smaller. And whenever you have secular congregations like ours and like the one here in Houston that are able to supply community to people in a way that has never been supplied before, then you're going to see these numbers grow. And not surprisingly, believers would be unhappy about it.
Hey, Jerry, I got to get this in really quickly. We're running out of time. But you, at this chapel, you sing gratitude songs.
Yeah.
In the nature of gratitude, you are grateful for something to someone or to something?
We're grateful to be alive. Whenever you consider all of the odds that were against each one of us actually being here and experiencing life and experiencing the universe, then there's lots to be grateful for. This is about a love for truth, a love for humanity, and a love for life.
All right, Jerry DeWitt.
Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time this Sunday. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you. Much love to you both.